All right, so it's June 3rd. It's 1:36 a.m. I moved into my new apartment, and the Black Lives Matter movement is all across the country and really in a lot of places throughout the world. It's in Spain, New Zealand, France, England, um, and yeah, it's in all 50 states. So the president moved down into a bunker one night. He threatened to deploy the military. The National Guard went out to Minneapolis, and now there are rumors of the mercenary group Blackwater being out on Twitter. So, and I don't know how true that is, but that's what the rumor is based on social media. So that's where we're at right now in American history. Um, I want to talk about a specific event that happened back when I was at school. I'm at the Citadel Military College of South Carolina. This was in 2015. I was in summer school then, and that was a pretty good summer for me actually. I think I was taking something like accounting, some accounting course over the summer, but I was staying in the barracks down there in Charleston. And as you guys know from the title of this, I'm going to talk about the Dylan Roof shooting. So this happened on June 17th, 2015. Um, I remember I was in school, and like I said, it was a pretty chill summer. There were no real rules on campus, so I was taking a lot of time to myself to sort of relax, socialize, party, and just really do whatever I want. I was on, for those of you that have been to Charleston, I was on King Street. So that's like right downtown when you get to Charleston. I was at the Chipotle. That specific spot is 1 mile away from the AME church where the event took place at. So that's where I was at when it happened. I was honestly really oblivious to it at the time. I went back to school and there was a lockdown. Um, so at the time when this whole thing happened, I wasn't really affected by it, but it sent waves across the country. So, I when I heard about it, I said, "Oh, that's pretty weird," and I didn't know what had happened. Now it's a pretty controversial topic, and people get upset about it. And I think people really get upset because of the way that the police handled it. And the police went to buy him a cheeseburger. He was handled really gently. And I think maybe like a year before that, let me just look it up. Okay. Yeah, so not even a year before that, it was about 2 months before that, there was footage of a black man running away from a police officer being gunned down. This was Walter Scott. Um, so this guy was totally unarmed. He was running away from a police officer, and the police officer unloaded a whole magazine into this guy. Um, so that was the reason I think why this whole incident sent shockwaves throughout the country because of the unfair treatment. Now, I want to talk about Dylan Roof, the report on him. And I didn't know him, but I spent a good bit of time, I've spent a good bit of time in South Carolina, and I've been to a lot of the areas where he, I guess, hung around. I mean, part of the places where he went to school was like less than an hour away from me, like where I would spend a lot of my time at. So his reason for doing what he did, he said that black men were raping white women, and he really fed into this sort of neo-Nazi philosophy. Um, so a lot of people say that they blamed it on him. I think huffing some sort of chemical, something like that, and they blamed it on mental health. But as you all know, we had the Charlottesville riots, and although there weren't really shootings, um, these people were definitely like they ran over a couple people. And, as you can see with the Trump rallies, it looks like it's the same type of people. Not exactly, but they have the same mindset. There are people being beaten, throwing out of protests, and things of that nature. So, like I said, at that time, the Dylan Roof thing didn't really affect me. I thought it was weird, and but it did cover national protests. It got a lot of attention, and I want to talk about how that affects me today because a lot of people don't really know that I was there at the time, and it's different. It's different when you're there to see how the community reacts to it. It really, I think, honestly, that played a part in the Klan thing at the Citadel too. That happened later because I think that happened in 2016 also. I mean 2015 also. Later on in the year after the summer. So his philosophy. What I want to say about him is that it's not a matter of. I don't think it was a matter of him huffing any sort of chemical because Donald Trump's not huffing any chemicals. Uh, the people at his rallies, I don't think, are huffing chemicals, and I don't think the Charlottesville protesters were huffing any chemicals either. The point of what I'm trying to say is that it's important to understand that the whole excuse of mental health and what people are choosing to do, whether they do drugs or not, it really doesn't. That's not a significant approach to take to people who adopt these philosophies and how they think and how dangerous it is. Because this guy, he went in and he killed 9 black people basically because they were black. And he said that the reason for it was because he said black men are raping our women. So I need people to really sit back and think about this. And especially like if you look back at some of my other videos, how this sort of paints a picture of people's mentalities. Um, Now I posted on my Twitter the 2 Hollywood movies, Birth of a Nation. One was 3 years ago, I think in 2017, and one was the original one, which was back in the early 1900s, and it featured how the Klan wanted to represent the depiction of the black man. So, and make sure you go watch that original movie because it'll really help you to understand how these people think. Now, with this whole Me Too movement that came out, it's important to really support women. And I don't support the concept of rape or sexual assault in any type of way, but um, I think the whole premise is that the concept of a black man raping a white woman is almost like a fantasy for these. It's like a fantasy that they want to live out. The people with this ideology, it's like this is what they look for. So I've heard stories about people using rape in like it's like a form of like war or torture, things of that nature. And I don't really know much about that. I've never really seen a black male rape a white woman. I've never seen that. Now, that's just me. Maybe it's because I don't look for it. But that's what he saw, and he felt that he needed to go and shoot at this church. Um, so I think that it's important to really understand that he is not like he symbolizes something. This isn't really just about him. Um, and a lot of people are really calling for him to get the death penalty. I'm pretty sure he did, but people really focus on him as an individual. And the problem really is that this sentiment of racism is not only a disease, but it is very silent and can be very difficult to detect until it's too late, as you can see. So, like right now, things are quiet. There are no protesters of the far right, people with this ideology. Um, but these people are definitely out there. And I guess that whole shooting really affects me because I hear about it in music, the type of music that I listen to, and I see people talk about it in reports. And I just think to myself, I just think it's crazy that I was there. Um, I lived in that type of environment for so long. And if you look at my other videos, I've explained the types of things I've seen, types of things I've been through, people talking about where I live at or where I live close to being like Klan territory and things of that nature. And I just want people to know that this stuff is real. Stuff is real. It's out there. It could be your neighbor. If you, especially like if you go down south, it's a lot more prevalent in certain states. It's more prevalent than others across the U.S. And as you all know, I mean, if you guys are paying attention, far right groups are starting to pop up a lot I mean, like throughout Europe. They're popping up in places like Brazil, and they're like nationalist tendencies are popping up all throughout the world. China, Japan, the Philippines, and I think nationalism is a different topic, but like this neo-Nazi rhetoric. I haven't read any of these neo-Nazi books personally. I've checked out some stuff, but the way that they view specifically like black men and black people really is the same as sort of these people in the Klan. They view them as inferior, they view them as animals, and they're in a lot of ways willing to hunt them down and kill them, which is very similar to how the police are treating black people. In one of my playlists on YouTube, I talk about what's that guy's name? Christopher Dorner, who was an ex-Marine and joined the LAPD. And I think it was in 2014, he basically, went to all-out war with the Los Angeles Police Department. He said that he saw another officer beat a mentally ill police officer, and he said that he saw Nazi flags inside of the police department. I first became aware of this about a year ago in 2019, and when I saw that report, everything about my time at my time in military college, the Dylan Roof shooting just it came back to me, and I just remembered all that, and I said, "Wow, this stuff is really all over the country." This is really important because when he says stuff like that, this guy, I think he's dead now, the ex-cop Christopher Dorner, when he says stuff like that, It seems outlandish, but it's important to really take it into consideration because I personally, where I've been and what I've seen, I 100% believe him. I 110% believe him based on what I've seen, based on what I've seen in military college, based on, this shooting that took place in Charleston, which I was there for. I was, about a mile away from the event when it took place, and some other things that I've been through. Um, so if you connect the dots and you look at how this guy was treated compared to, let's say, another black person, and I'm not saying, every black person suffers police brutality at the hands of police. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that this guy calmly walked around with a gun, shot these people, was taken into custody, given a burger, and I think that before people started complaining about it, it would be less likely for a black person to do the same thing he did and get treated the same way that Dylan Roof did. And what I mean by that is in a calm and gentle approach. So, why is this important when it comes to connecting the dots? It's important because there does seem to be a clear bias here, especially if you look at the political system today. On Twitter, I noticed a lot of conservatives still saying that Democrats should be in jail, and they're encouraging civilians to take up arms, um, use their Second Amendment rights against protesters and rioters. Now, the president has said only rioters, but other conservatives have said protesters too. That is really concerning to me because while I don't agree with everything the Black Lives Matter movement does, I don't think I would just say to shoot them. Um, anyway, I'm getting off topic here. Yeah. So, long story short, I was a mile away when it happened. I was on King Street in Charleston, downtown. I was at Chipotle getting a burger. Went back to school. Everything was on lockdown. They closed parts of the city down, downtown in that area that I was in. And this guy shot these people, left. Police caught up to him, arrested him, and it hit national news. It's really questionable to me because I don't know if this case was for political reasons, why it was so big, or if it's something that should really be examined and talked about. Because, like I said, when it happened, I wasn't too concerned about it. I was just going about my business, taking classes, and the rest of the country was up in arms about it. When the Charlotte riots happened, I was in school and I wasn't really as concerned about it. Now that I'm out of school, I'm able to pay more attention. So it could be the fact that, I'm not in school, I'm not doing as much, that I'm able to pay more attention to these events. Or it could be the fact that, that was just one incident that I happened to be there for. And the rest of the country saw it and was concerned. And now I'm in a position where I feel like I should look back on it. Either way, I wanted to talk about it because it is a big topic, and I think it's important that people know that I was so close to it when it happened. Um, I'm making this video longer than it should be. Um, anyway, I still don't know how to edit videos yet. I'm going to try to learn at some point soon, hopefully. But you guys definitely drop a like, subscribe. Let me know what type of content you guys would like to see on here. And I got a few more topics, at least like 17 more topics I want to talk about before I get into a specific niche. Anyway, yeah, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.